Far from Earth, in a galaxy ruled by the powerful alien race called the Valeri, there stood a golden palace floating above the clouds of a red planet. The Valeri were proud, strong, and ancient. Their empire had ruled for 1,000 years, but now they had a problem, one they tried to hide from the stars. The princess of Valeri, Soraya, could not have children. No doctor, no healer, no machine could fix her. She was born this way. And for a royal bloodline, that was a silent disaster. The king, her father, had told no one. Not even the people of their own planet knew. To them, Soraya was perfect, beautiful, pure, a symbol of hope, but behind her cold eyes was a secret, a pain, a fear. The king searched the stars for a solution. He read old prophecies, ancient codes. One line stayed in his mind: a child will come from a creature of war and a womb of peace. To him that meant one thing: the humans were once enemies of the Valeri. There had been wars, blood, fire, but now the humans were weak, scattered, broken. That Valeri had won. And so, the king made a strange decision. He called for a human, not to fight, but to serve. His name was Elias. Elias was a soldier, once strong and full of pride. But war had taken everything from him: his family, his planet, his purpose. When the aliens took him, he didn't fight. He had nothing left to lose. He expected pain. He expected prison. But instead, he met her. Princess Soraya. She stood tall, wearing silver robes and golden cuffs on her arms. Her skin shimmered like crystal. Her eyes were sharp, but tired. She looked at Elias not with hate, but curiosity. "You are the one?" she said softly. Elias looked up. The one for what? Soraya didn't answer. For days, she observed him, watched how he walked, how he spoke, how he thought. She asked strange questions about Earth, about love, about children. At first, Elias stayed silent, but slowly he began to speak. She listened, she laughed, she cried only once, when she told him, "I was born to rule, but not to create. What is a future with no child?" And then one day Soraya made her choice. She touched Elias's hand. For the first time, a Valeri princess chose a human, not for war, not for science, but for hope. It wasn't just about blood. It was about belief. The king never expected this. He thought his daughter would follow orders, would use the human like a tool. But Soraya had fallen in love. Weeks passed. Then one morning, Soraya felt something strange in her body. A soft glow under her skin, a rhythm in her heart that was not her own. She went to the healers. They were shocked. "You are with child," they whispered. Silence filled the room. This was impossible. The Valeri had tested her for years. She could never be pregnant. But here she was, carrying a child. And that child was half human. Soraya's heart beat faster. She should have told her father, but something inside her said no. He would never accept it. Not the child, not Elias, not the love that made it real. So, she kept the secret, hid it beneath royal robes and calm words. But secrets don't stay hidden for long in palaces made of glass. The king noticed a change. In her voice and her walk, he called his spies, watched her closely, and slowly, the truth began to rise like a storm. Back in the human quarters, Elias didn't know what was happening. He just knew Soraya was visiting less. Her eyes looked heavier, her voice afraid. Then one night she came to him. "They know," she whispered. "Who?" Elias asked. "My father, the king." Elias stepped back. He knew what that meant: death, war, a child they would never let live. But Soraya looked into his eyes and said, "I will protect this child. I will protect you, even if the stars fall." Outside the palace, dark ships began to move. The king was preparing for something, but what he didn't know was this: the galaxy had changed the moment his daughter chose love over law. They say, stars don't lie. But that night, the stars went silent. Princess Soraya stood alone on the royal sky bridge, above the clouds of her world. Wind moved through her silver gown, but she didn't feel it. Her eyes were locked on the stars, yet her mind was far below, deep inside her body, where something impossible was growing. Inside her was life, a forbidden life. She pressed her hand gently to her stomach. It was still small, almost invisible, but she felt it. A strange warmth, a heartbeat that wasn't hers, half Valeri, half human, a miracle and a threat. She remembered the prophecy. Again, a child will come from a creature of war and a womb of peace. Was that child hers? The next morning, the royal healers gathered. In secret, Soraya had shown them the scans. The room was cold. Even the machines seemed afraid. "This is not science," one whispered. "This is chaos," said another. "The king must be told," said the head healer. But Soraya's voice cut through the silence. "If any of you speak of this, I will end you myself." They looked into her eyes and saw something they had never seen before. Not royalty, not weakness, but power. Meanwhile, in the deep towers of the palace, Elias sat alone in the white cell they had given him. Not a prison, not a home, something in between. Like him, he couldn't sleep. He couldn't eat. All he could think about was her and something else, a feeling, a pull in his chest. Like part of him had already left, gone to Soraya. Was this what fatherhood felt like? He had never imagined being a father. Not with a human, and never with an alien princess. But now it was real. Outside the palace something was shifting. The king had noticed strange movements, Soraya's missing hours, locked doors, late-night visits to the medical wing. He didn't trust coincidence, so he called his shadow guard. Silent watchers, lifeless eyes. Find out what she hides, the king ordered, and if it threatens the bloodline, erase it. Back in the garden chambers, Soraya finally met Elias again. It had been 12 days since she last touched him. He stood when she entered, confused, worried, but when she took his hand and placed it on her stomach, his eyes widened as that. She nodded. It's ours. Elias fell silent. He knelt, not in fear, but in awe. How is this possible? He whispered. I don't know, Soraya said, her voice trembling. But I won't let them take it. Not from me. Not from us. Elias looked up. Then we run, but Soraya shook her head. There's no place in this galaxy where the king can't find us. That night, an alarm echoed through the palace lights. Turned red. Doors locked. Guards moved like shadows. Soraya ran to the healer's wing, but found it empty. No doctors, no scans, no records. Everything ... erased. Erased. Elias was missing too. Captured. No. Hidden. A single word burned in Soraya's mind. Betrayal. Someone had told the king. She rushed to her private chamber and found a message waiting for her. A small glowing orb. Her father's voice filled the room. My daughter ... my blood. You were born for one purpose, to continue the line, and now you've tainted it. That thing growing inside you ... It is not an heir. It is an infection. Return to me, or I will take it from your cold hands. The orb blinked off. Soraya stood frozen, her breath shallow. Her fingers curled into fists. She was not afraid anymore. She was angry. Deep underground, in a hidden chamber, Elias was alive. He had escaped, but only barely. A loyal servant of Soraya had risked everything to hide him. The servant said only one thing: protect her, even if it kills you. Elias looked at the stars through a vent above. Somewhere out there, Soraya was fighting alone. He would not let her, not now, not ever. As dawn rose on the Valeri palace, Soraya placed a hand on her stomach and whispered, you were never a mistake. You are the future, and I will burn down the sky for you if I must. Outside her window, black ships rose from the king's hangar. A war was coming, but this time it wasn't between aliens and humans. It was between a father and a daughter. Opening line, unique and intense. The king did not shout. He never needed to. When the stars shook, it was not because of war. It was because the king had whispered a name, Soraya. His voice echoed inside the throne chamber, low and cold. Every guard stood still. Every advisor held their breath. The king's golden crown glowed like fire, but his eyes were ice. My own blood has turned against me. High above, inside the glass garden, Soraya stood at the edge of a mirror pool. Her reflection was shaken, not from fear but from what she knew must come next. She had made her choice. Now she would face the cost. Behind her, an old servant, once her nursemaid, came in quietly. The king is moving the throne fleet. He has declared your child an abomination. Soraya's fists clenched. He forgets I am not just his daughter, I am his heir. The servant bowed. Not anymore, princess. He has named a new one, General Voss. Soraya turned. A soldier. My father would hand the empire to a sword. No, the servant whispered. He would hand it to someone who will kill without asking why. In the hidden tunnels below the palace, Elias was moving fast, wearing stolen armor, guided by a servant's map. He raced through the shadows like a ghost. His only thought, find Soraya, protect the child. As he reached the end of a corridor, 2 royal guards blocked his way. Human, one said, raising a plasma spear. But Elias didn't stop. His eyes burned with fire. He moved first. One guard fell with a broken helmet. The other turned to run, but Elias pulled him back with brute force. No hesitation, no mercy. He had once been a soldier. Now he was something more, a father. At the palace's war table, the king watched a 3D scan of the unborn child. It flickered with strange colors. The child's heartbeat echoed unnaturally. The scientists whispered, confused. This is not possible, one said. This is dangerous, another added, but the king didn't blink. This child is a weapon. One I did not design. If it lives, my rule ends. A general stepped forward. Shall we prepare termination? The king looked up slowly. No, let her come to me. Let her believe she has a choice. It will hurt more. Later, that night, Soraya received a message, not from the king but from her mother's old private AI, a system long believed offline. The AI activated softly. Hello, Soraya. Your mother programmed me, in case your father ever lost his soul. A hologram appeared. It showed a secret exit, a safe zone, a hidden ship, and one more thing. A message from her mother. Daughters must survive, even when kings forget how to love. Soraya's eyes filled with quiet tears. Then, her face hardened. She gathered her robe, and a small silver weapon she had hidden since childhood. I will not run, she said, but I will be ready. Elias finally reached her chambers. Guards were already there, dead or unconscious. He rushed inside. Soraya stood by the window, waiting. When she saw him, she didn't smile. She ran to him and pressed his hand against her stomach. He knows, she said. I know, Elias replied. They held each other for a moment. The silence between them was louder than war. Then Soraya whispered, "He will not stop. Not until one of us is Ash." Elias looked at her. "Then let's make sure it isn't us." Moments later, alarms screamed through the palace. Red lights, locked doors, moving walls. The king's wrath had arrived. Outside, the skies darkened. Black ships circled like vultures. Inside, soldiers marched down the halls, their boots echoing like war drums. The hunt had begun, but this time, the prey was ready. Soraya took Ilias's hand. "If we fail, this child dies." Ilias nodded. "Then we don't fail." They turned together, into the fire, and far, far above, among the stars, a new signal blinked on the edge of the galaxy. Human ship, unmarked, uninvited. Coming closer, not to save them, but to change everything. Asterisk. The child hadn't yet opened its eyes, but machines blinked when it passed. Lights dimmed, metal sang. And every Valeri doctor who stood near the womb walked away, changed. In a private medical chamber deep beneath the old palace walls, the unborn heir grew faster than science could explain. His cells split in patterns unknown to Valeri genetics. His heartbeat echoed in two rhythms, one human, one alien. The machines monitoring the pregnancy began to record strange phenomena: time fluctuations, energy pulses, static whispers in unknown languages. One AI shut itself down completely, writing one last line: "This life should not be, but it is." Princess Soraya sat beside the medical bed, her hand resting on her belly. She was exhausted, eyes hollow but defiant. The child was growing quickly, weeks ahead of schedule, but it wasn't hurting her. In fact, she felt stronger, sharper, more alive. Beside her, Elias paced the chamber. He was restless, alert, still wearing armor stolen during their escape. His eyes flicked to every screen, every shadow. He wasn't just a father now. He was a protector of something no species had ever known. Outside the palace, the world whispered. Some said the princess had died. Some said the king had exiled her. But a few believed the forbidden story, that Soraya was with child, a hybrid, a new bloodline. And they were afraid. Because if the prophecy was truth, this child wasn't just a scandal. He was a turning point in the king's war chamber. High generals stood silent as a new scan of the child played in the air. A moving image, a flickering shape, and in the center, glowing, pulsing, was a strange ring around the child's heart, made of light, shifting like a portal. "What is that?" one general asked. The king said nothing. He simply stared at it. He had seen that glow once before, long ago during the ancient wars, when humans first arrived in the stars. It was not natural, it was not Valeride, it was human, and something else. "This is not an heir," the king said. "It's a prophecy in flesh, and prophecies must be broken." Back in the chamber, Elias finally spoke. "I don't understand how he's doing this," he said. Soraya looked up at him. "He's not doing anything, he's just being." "Then why are the walls shaking every time he moves?" Ilias asked. They both turned as a nearby panel sparked again. Soraya gave a tired smile. "Maybe the universe is nervous." Suddenly an alert blared across the room. A transmission, unauthorized. Coming from orbit, Soraya activated the display. A familiar face appeared, but not one they expected. A human commander, female, cold eyes, a scar down her left cheek. "To Princess Soraya and Captain Elias, the United Human Colonies are aware of the child. We are sending an extraction team. You must surrender the heir to us." Elias stepped forward. "You're with Earth's government." The woman replied. "I'm with survival. That child is not safe with either of you. It's too powerful, too unknown." Then the message ended. The room went quiet. Elias looked at Soraya. "They want to take him," she whispered. "Everyone does." Just then, the baby kicked. A soft movement, but it sent a wave of light across Soraya's skin. For a moment, the air glowed, and they both saw it flash. A vision. The baby standing under twin suns. A crowd before him, a crown in his hand, but not on his head. He was speaking, but not in any known language. When the light faded, Elias stumbled back. "Did you see that too?" Soraya nodded slowly. "This child," she whispered, "is more than just a life." That night, Soraya made a decision. They would no longer hide. They would no longer run if the galaxy fears him, she said. "Then let them come. Let them see what we are protecting." Elias nodded. "Then we need to leave this place. Get off this planet now." As they prepared to escape, one final surprise came. The child, not yet born, began to hum. A frequency filled the room. Gentle, soft, but not random. A message in perfect human English. "I am not the end. I am the bridge." Soraya's eyes filled with tears. And Elias knew this was no ordinary child. This was the next step. The ship wasn't ready. The sky wasn't clear. And Soraya was already in labor, but they had no time left. Beneath the royal city, a forgotten launch tunnel hummed with power for the first time in decades. Ancient dust fell from the ceiling as engines awakened. The hidden escape, Vasella's small black scout-class ship, shook against its clamps. Ilias stood at the control panel, typing commands with trembling fingers. He had trained for war, not birth, not escape, not protecting a half-human miracle. The child from 2 entire civilizations. Behind him, Soraya lay on a medical bed inside the ship, sweat dripping from her forehead. Her skin glowed, pulses of light flickering from her womb every few seconds. The baby wasn't just arriving, he was activating far above. The king's warships blocked the skies like vultures with flame in their wings, and closing in from the other side a human fleet, carrying orders Elias already knew by heart. Secure the child, neutralize the threat. No one wanted to save this baby. They all wanted to control it, or kill it. Inside the ship, an old voice suddenly crackled through. There comes a forgotten AI.feminine.com. I am Lyra, Royal Ship Mind. Online, after 117 years of silence. Destination unknown. Mission, survival. Elias grabbed the console. We need to fly now, or there won't be a mission. The AI replied. Engines require 3 more minutes. Elias cursed under his breath. Then came the sound they feared most. Explosions above. The upper doors of the launch tunnel were breached. The walls shook. Elias looked at Sarah. She nodded, gripping the side rails. I'm fine, she lied. He knew she wasn't, but she was braver than him. Valeri soldiers dropped into the tunnel like shadows, with guns. Human troops dropped in after them from the opposite end. And in the middle of it all, Elias, half-suited in stolen armor, soaked in sweat, holding a child who hadn't yet been born, but was already changing the rules of existence. He turned toward the door. The first attacker came. Elias didn't wait. He moved like thunder. 2 soldiers went down before they saw him. 1 human, 1 alien. He didn't care anymore who was who. Anyone who threatened that baby was the enemy. Behind him, Soraya screamed, not in fear, but from the child tearing reality open inside her. The ship lights flickered. The air cracked. The AI said, warning, the child is emitting unstable energy. Possibility of fusion event, 18%. Elias yelled, what does that mean? It means, Lyra replied calmly, this birth may change physics. With blood on his hands and breath like fire, Elias sealed the launch doors manually. The ship's engines roared to life, and then it happened. A light burst from Soraya's body, pure, blinding, and soundless. The energy wave passed through walls, ships, soldiers, metal, memory. All movement stopped. For 5 seconds, the world held its breath, and then the baby cried. It wasn't just sound, it was music. It was language. It was power. Every sensor on every ship nearby crashed. Every soldier dropped their weapons not by choice, but by something deeper. A command not spoken but felt. Peace. For a moment, Elias rushed back to Soraya's side. The baby was in her arms now, glowing faintly, perfect, alive, breathing both oxygen and something else, something unmeasured. Soraya looked up at him, eyes full of love and something ancient. He's here, she said, and he's not just ours, he belongs to something. Bigger. Behind them, Lyra's voice echoed. Enemy forces disarmed temporarily. Escape window, 16 seconds. Elias didn't wait. He slammed the launch command. The ship shot upward, breaking through steel, cloud, flame. Outside, both the human and Valeri fleets tried to lock weapons, but targeting systems failed. The baby, resting in Soraya's arms, opened his eyes for the first time. They were glowing silver, high above the red world. The scout ship disappeared into hyperspace, and behind them, the war never resumed because no one could explain what they felt, only that something had changed. Forever. Asterisk in the silence between stars. Choices speak louder than war. The ship drifted quietly beyond known space, away from Valeri patrols, beyond the reach of human scanners. No planets, no signals, only the hum of the engines and the soft breathing of a child born of 2 worlds inside the dimly lit cabin. Elias sat beside a wide viewport, staring into the darkness. He wasn't thinking about war, or politics, or species. He was thinking about his son. The child had no name yet, but he had power that frightened both humans and Valeri, power that had stopped soldiers in their tracks, power that made machines pray. And still, he slept like any newborn, as if he didn't know the galaxy was hunting him. Soraya stood, near the cradle, motionless. Her body was still weak from the birth, but her mind raced like fire. She had once believed she'd never be a mother. Now her heart beat for a boy who should not exist. A miracle with silver eyes, born from love but followed by fear. He had already changed her. She wondered, would the galaxy change him, or try to destroy him? Suddenly, a new signal lit up on the ship's console, encrypted, royal from the Valeri throne world. Elias moved to block it, but Soraya stopped him. I know the voice, she said. She pressed play. The king's face appeared, older but sharp as ever. Soraya, my daughter, no soldiers, no ships, just a choice. Bring the child to me. I will not harm him. I swear it by the stars. But if you refuse, I will not stop the war. You know what this child means. Give him a crown, or a coffin. It is your decision. The message ended, and with it, the silence returned. Soraya turned away from the screen. Her hands shook. He's lying, Elias said. Soraya shook her head slowly. No, not completely. He fears the child, but he also needs him. Needs him for what? To survive, she whispered. The Valeri bloodline is failing. No heirs, no strength, but this child is something new. A bridge. That night, while the baby slept in the observation room, Soraya and Elias argued in whispers. We can't trust either side, Elias said. Earth wants to study him. Your father wants to use him. So what do we do? She asked. Live in hiding forever. Teach our son to crawl through shadows, to fear the stars. Elias turned away. If it keeps him alive, yes, Soraya stepped forward. But is that life is hiding the same as living? Neither of them spoke for a long time. Later, Soraya returned to her son. She picked him up, held him close, whispered softly, What are you, my child? A weapon, a savior, or something we've never seen before? The baby opened his silver eyes, and for a moment Soraya felt everything around her slow, not stop, just breathe, as if the ship itself was listening. At that moment, the AI voice returned. Lyra, unknown object approaching. One life form detected, unarmed. Valerie's signature confirmed. Elias rushed to the window. A small vessel, old and barely functional, drifted toward them. Then it docked. Soraya stepped back. No, Elias said. It's a trap. But the airlock opened slowly without force. And in walked woman Valerie, older than Soraya, eyes full of sorrow. I am Queen Vera, she said. Soraya gasped. My mother died years ago. The woman nodded. That's what your father wanted you to believe. They sat in the ship's main chamber as Queen Vera spoke. She told them the truth. The prophecy was real. The bloodline was never about royal power. It was about balance between two ancient species. The Valeri were never meant to survive alone. The child is not a threat. He is the reset, a living peace treaty, one that both humans and Valeri fear. Finally, Queen Vera placed a simple choice before Soraya and Elias. Come with me. Let the child speak to both worlds, or run, and let the galaxy burn in fear. Elias looked at Soraya. She looked at their child. The stars waited, and so did history. They would tell stories about this child one day. Some would say he was a weapon. Others would call him a savior, but only his parents would know the truth. He was never meant to rule. He was born to change what power means. The ship landed on neutral ground, a massive silent hole carved into an asteroid orbiting between the Valeri Empire and the human colonies. No flags, no weapons, just one silver circle at the center, a place built for negotiation or judgment. Princess Soraya stepped into the hall first, carrying the child in her arms. She wore no crown, no armor, only white robes. Elias walked beside her, silent, alert behind them. The air itself felt tense, as if the galaxy was holding its breath. On one side, the Valeri king stood tall, robes heavy with tradition, his face unreadable. On the other, the human delegation waited, uniforms sharp, eyes colder than space. No one spoke. Until the child did. He didn't use words, not in any known tongue. He simply looked up, eyes shining like starlight, and everyone heard the same thing. Inside their minds, I am not yours. I am not theirs. I am ... the between. The humans stepped back. The Valeri stared in awe. Even Soraya froze. She had never heard her child speak like that, not even once. Suddenly, light burst from the child's body. But it didn't burn, it revealed. For a few seconds, all present saw visions, a future where humans and Valeri worked side by side, a time when hybrid children were no longer feared, but welcomed, and a galaxy no longer ruled by blood, but by bond. The king stepped forward. Slowly, cautiously, he looked at the child, then at his daughter. I tried to stop this, he said. I thought it would destroy us, Soraya answered, voice steady. You were wrong. Fear is the thing that almost destroyed us. Then Elias did what no human had ever done in front of a Valeri king. He knelt, but not in surrender. In unity. Not as your enemy, he said. Not as your subject, but as the father of the future you're afraid of. The king looked down, and after a long, tense silence, he knelt too. So did the generals. Then the humans, one by one, all of them, not in fear but in hope. The child glowed gently again. This time it was warmth, healing, a reset. In the weeks that followed, new laws were signed, a new alliance was formed, and for the first time in centuries, no side felt superior, because they had all witnessed the same thing, a child who belonged to both, ... and to neither ... They gave him a name, simple and ancient. Kale, meaning light between storms, and old Valeri. Soraya smiled when she first spoke it aloud. Elias held her hand, and for once didn't feel like a soldier. He felt like a father. In the years to come, Kale would grow not as a ruler, but as a reminder that love had rewritten blood, that two enemies had made something new, and that sometimes the greatest power in the galaxy ... is choosing peace, even when you were born for war.